Good afternoon. I will call the Heritage Center Financial Development Promotional Committee meeting of October 19th, 2022 to order. Before we do that, I'd like to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you lead us, Mr. Coyne?
Ready. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just want to read this off. This is read at town council meetings, and I think we probably do a better job than any other committee. But I will say, we will work together to better our town. We all have an equal vote. We may disagree, but we will do so with civility and respect, because in the end, we're all neighbors. Minutes from the last meeting. Did everybody get the minutes from their last meeting and have a chance to read through them?
Yep.
Are there any changes or corrections or additions?
No.
Nope.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting?
Move that we approve the minutes from the
Second.
last meeting.
Mr. Coyne. Mr. Faulkner is a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is passed unanimously. Correspondence or notifications. There are two things that I'd like to go over today. First of all, I would like to extend our condolences to Joanne Staggerwald, who is our receptionist here at the town, for the loss of her brother-in-law, Gene Lurch. Our thoughts and our best wishes go forward with the Lurch and the Staggerwald families. Are there any public comment on the agenda items? Committee reports. Outreach. There's a lot to report because of the upcoming events that we have. We have the future events that we have. We have Notorious North Hills that will be on the 27th. And my understanding is that we have sold 30.
It's about 28 down here. I'm not sure how many were sold up there yet.
Okay. But ticket sales are lagging a little bit behind, but we need to get that kicked up a little bit for the next week. We have some other events that are ready to take place. Hold on 1 second.
I picked
We
up.
had talked about having a turkey bowl on the 25th of November. After consultation with town council and with the town manager, along with the insurance companies, we've decided to forego that activity. We had Mrs. Lacoste gave a presentation to the American Association of University Women on the 21st. And it was absolutely wonderful. We had the North Allegheny classes of 1971 and 72 on September 24th. The Harmony Line presentation by the P.A. Trolley Museum took place on September 29th, and it sold out for 2 shows. We had the golf outing last week. We didn't do as well as what we had hoped, but the good news is we didn't lose any money. Yeah, everything was paid for, so we still came out about $300 ahead. The reason, there's a lot of reasons why in my mind, and we have to do a debrief as a committee, but doing it twice in 1 year was probably a mistake. We went to the well a little too often. And the weather was absolutely horrendous. We actually had 24 people cancel on the morning of. So, but I want to thank all of our sponsors for everything that they did. Another event that took place was the Environmental Advisory Committee worked on the rain gardens for 4 different dates here. And they look absolutely phenomenal, and they have been restored to their original splendor. So we want to thank Councilman Jack Casey and his committee for everything that they've done. It's been spectacular. And actually, you know, with the volunteers that we had working on the center and the volunteers working from the EAC, the Heritage Center looks phenomenal. I'd like to also mention that we had the Friends of North Park opening. And I can tell you, I've never been more pleased with any particular event that we've had. I know that all of you guys were here. Mrs. Clune was here. We had music. You had a lot of people in and out all night. We made a great deal of money. We made about $600.
Oh, that night?
Yes, and that's after expenses. So, you know, we had a lot of, and we haven't even accounted for the art that was sold yet. So I'm really pleased with the outcome of that. The upcoming, we have John.
This is Suzanne. Can I just say one more thing? We need to do that every year.
Well, I think that that's on a lot of people's minds, Suzanne.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that we're definitely going to do that. And to address that, Suzanne, I think that thinking outside of the box needs to be more of the norm. We did something like that, and that was that was Trish Clunen's idea. We just kind of ran with it. Thank you very much. I think you would agree it was unbelievable. It was so much fun. So much fun. Okay.
I think, like you said, thinking outside the box also brings in whole new categories of folks who didn't know that the Heritage Center was gonna go to a new group. We bring in more people.
And you know what?
And secondary goal.
There is no bad idea. There's no bad idea. I mean, if we have the chance to further our mission and doing it from a different perspective, why not? Okay. John Shawowski is going to be at the Heritage Center on November 10th.
Is that advertised? Is that,
Not yet, but it will
but
be.
it's an evening, it's an evening meeting,
It's an evening.
Yes.
event. Yes.
lecture.
Can you hear me? This is Abby.
Yes. Yes, Abby.
Hi. I've had no luck in tagging down John Shalkowski to confirm. I mean, he and I have talked about this event over the summer, and he said he was good for November 10th. But I haven't heard back from him yet. So I will try and reach out to him again this week because I realized that, you know, November 10th is like in 2 weeks. So.
Okay. Thank you, Abby. On November 17th, the lecture series is going to be hosted at the Heritage and Cultural Center for the Environmental Advisory Committee. Abby, is that going to be an ongoing thing, or is that just one night?
I think for right now, it's just scheduled at the Heritage Center for that one night. They had tried to do this particular program a few months ago and didn't have any success in getting anyone registered. So I've been working with Tony, and we sort of thought, you know, if we hold it at the Heritage Center and maybe make it a bit more focused on one particular topic relating to how water impacts our region in particular, that we might have more success. So I know they started advertising for that last week, and there's registration through Northland Library's page. Is that correct, Amy?
Yes, that is.
Okay, great.
Okay. We have breakfast with Santa scheduled for December 3rd. That will be at McCandless Crossing. We're working on the particulars and hope to be able to announce that within the next week or so. We're trying to get the North Allegheny High School band there to usher in Santa. So there's some logistical things that we have to go through.
They can be outside.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Just a point with the Santa, just to make sure whoever, that Santa has all of his or her
Paperwork.
experiences. Working with children. So,
Well, I think the idea was that, I'm probably the most qualified. And I do have my 34 and Act 151 in the dealing schools. Okay,
Now, is this gonna be Heritage Center volunteers working this?
yes,
Okay,
yes. Now, we have to work those things out logistically too, Suzanne, because December 3rd is also the Winterfest. So it's going to be an all-day thing where we start out now at McCandless Crossing. And then I would think that we're going to split the day up as far as the volunteers are concerned and have people coming back to the center during Winterfest. We're going to have pictures with Santa in the Heritage Center with the model railroads. The model railroad is going to be put up November 25th, tentatively scheduled, and stay until December 31st. Pictures with Santa will be at the Heritage Center December 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th. We haven't even, well, we announced that we started planning. We haven't gotten anywhere with the night of the races yet, which will be in the beginning, probably February of 2023. And then the spring gala. Abby, do you have an update on the Community Day Committee?
I do not. I was unable to attend the Community Day Committee recap meeting a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Do you have any input there?
Yeah, I do. What we did as a Heritage Center is we participated in Community Day. Our biggest, probably the biggest contribution that we made was we sold hot dogs and pop and chips at the car cruise over at North Allegheny Intermediate. We made a good bit of money there. We made probably about $300 there. And, everybody thought it was the greatest thing. We didn't need to deploy food trucks. What we did here at Town Hall, and I hope that this changes in the future, we were given a tent and we shared it with the library and we shared it with the EAC. Understanding this year was a little bit different because the construction of the tennis courts and the pickleball courts, I'm certainly in the future, I'd like to see it operate a little bit differently, but we'll have the ability to have that input on Community Day activities.
May I,
Yes, ma'am.
just from my understanding with the tennis and pickleball courts, because of the expense and the investment the town made, the manufacturer of the asphalt overlay is actually advising against setting up as we have in the past with stands. And things
Yeah,
like that. So we're all going to be creatively thinking of how things may change and shift just a little bit, but still be welcoming to a lot of groups.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't put anything on those pickleball courts or those tennis courts. Yes. And you know what? They're gonna enhance the town. They're gonna enhance the experience for the constituents. My thing with Community Day is you have to do tangible things for your people. And you have to make it open to as many people as possible. We just have to find different ways in order to accomplish that goal. We are working with the activities committee. We're starting to work with the activities committee on different aspects, ice cream days. You know, we've had some discussions between Abby and Deb Sagan, where the activities committee is going to have yoga inside of the Heritage Center during the winter months. And I think it's long overdue that we have that association.
So that will start November 5th,
Yes.
a Saturday.
And that,
Okay.
and understand something, Suzanne, during that time, from November until probably, mid-January, I mean, the one side of the Heritage Center is going to be wide open.
Yeah,
It lends itself to do just that.
It's gonna be a treat to see Joe doing yoga.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a little bit more athletic than you people give me credit.
Take lots of pictures.
Black belt materials. Okay, under new business. Oh, wait a minute. Under old business, we still have the historic Pittsburgh Fair. Do you want to give a report on that?
Oh, yeah, it went real well. Yeah, I set up a booth there or a table. And Rick Seebeck had spoken prior to that in a different room. Then there were people that were invited specifically for that, and they came in. And I must have spoken to 50 people, and it went real well. People were very interested in what we're doing. They were, it was nice. I connected Seebeck to Joe with flea market of history, and really people really enjoyed the what we had out and what we're doing. So yeah, most of them were from Squirrel Hill, but they were still nonetheless impressed and interested. So that was a good event to be a part of.
I also wanted to, thank you.
Yeah.
I also wanted to fill everybody in. We've been meeting with some municipalities with regards to cooperative intergovernmental agreements for the future of the Heritage and Cultural Center, as you well know. We had a second meeting with Pine Township. We met with the representatives of the Avonworth communities. It's the four communities: that's Kilbuck, Ohio Township, Ben Avon, and Ben Avon Heights, and Avalon. We've met with Franklin Park. We've met with, bless you, we met with Richland. We still have some work to do, but the whole point is we have not encountered anybody that's saying no. The fact of the matter is, McCandless is the town that built a heritage and cultural center. Nobody else has. Okay, and
Sure.
they all like the fact that right now, like in Franklin Park, if you go into the basement of the town hall, there's a bunch of stuff there. Okay, they don't know what to do with it. They don't have the expertise that we have in order to catalog, in order to put it into use. So we are working along those lines with the other municipalities. And as I've discussed with everybody on this board, we're asking for $1 per person per year from those municipalities. And so far, nobody has said no. No, we're not the rug cutting time yet, but we feel like we've earned our way and we've stated our case. We continue to go forward to try and get philanthropic assistance. I've been talking with Amy, I've been talking with some of the other people around here as far as philanthropic needs within the town. That certainly to me comes first. However, for the The Heritage and Cultural Center, we continue to go after grant monies and foundation monies. Foundation monies, as I see it, should we be successful with the municipalities. The dollar per person would go towards operations and programming. The philanthropic monies would go towards capital improvements. So that's where we're at right now. Does anybody have any questions regarding any of that? Thank you. Under new business, we would like to propose new hours for the center and new calendar hours as well. In previous years, we've been closed in January and February. In accordance with what we're trying to do with the philanthropic organizations and make ourselves more appealing, we have to be a 12-month center. That being said, we would like to open in January again. And we'd like to change the hours to reflect as follows. We would be closed on Mondays. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, our hours would be 10 to 4. Thursdays, our hours would be 10 to 7. There are special events usually scheduled on Thursdays, but in addition to that, we wanted to have one evening night where people that are working during the day would have the availability to see the center.
So that would be 3 shifts. 3 shifts on that on a Thursday.
Yes,
Okay.
Additional shifts.
well, yes.
One additional
And
shift.
I'll address that in a minute. Okay, then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we would go back to 10 to 4. Right now, Sunday is 1 to 4. We decided to propose an extension from 10 to 4. And I know that there's a lot of hesitance in this because of our the strain that it would put on our volunteers. To that end, we've had discussions with North Allegheny and Mr. Nate Tengowski, who is in charge of the National Honor Society. And they're working on a plan to give us additional help. So we're going to go through and train some of the younger people from our school district so they can earn National Honor Society hours. Anybody have any questions with regards to that?
Will they be able to leave school?
They don't need to leave school. We're going to ask them to work on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to ask them to work until 7 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So they're going to come in after school and work on Thursdays until 7 o'clock at night.
Suzanne, I've already met with 2 high school students and interviewed them. One is available, he would like to come in on the weekends, and one is available starting at like 3:30 after school. So I told them to recruit all their friends and all the members of the National Honor Society. So I'm the one girl is starting the first week in November. So
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better.
yeah. We realize that if we're expanding our hours, we're going to need to expand our volunteer base as well. So
Yeah,
we're working on it.
okay. Thank you.
Will the students be there by themselves or with someone?
They'll be there with someone. I mean, you can't just have a 17-year-old kid by themselves there. Okay. I need a motion to approve the new hours.
I move that we approve the new hours.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Those opposed? Would be known it was a unanimous vote. Mr. Clinton, you are invited to sit up here and you are invited to vote, as is your right.
I can't vote.
You can't vote? I thought that was approved by council.
No, if I'm appointed as a committee member, then I would be, right now I'm here as a liaison,
Okay,
so thank you.
just want to give you the option. You're in that, you're in this as much as we are, so, and we appreciate what you're doing. Abby, do you want to address Janine Murch?
Sure. I met a McCandless resident. Her name is Janine Murch. She is an illustrator. And I asked her to to give us a proposal that wouldn't go into effect until next year, to create some sort of coloring pages and or a coloring book featuring local North Hills, McCandless landmarks. So similar to all those Pittsburgh maps that you see that has, Primanti Brothers and PNC Park and those sorts of landmarks on it, I'm hoping to recreate something like that for the Northern Allegheny region. Did I send everyone a copy of that proposal?
I
No.
don't recall that.
I don't either.
Okay, I will resend it. I told her that, obviously our timeline isn't until next year, and she's fine with that. She and I met at the Heritage Center a couple weeks ago and talked about possible content. And so we're putting our heads together about what kind of images might work best. But I just wanted to let everyone know, and I will forward a copy of that proposal. I think it was like $450, I think, to create 10 images. And then we would own the rights to those images, and we could reproduce them as we see fit. So that seems like a reasonable ask to me, but once I give you more information, we can take a look at it as a group and, decide whether to do it or not.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions about that?
How's the weather?
I mean, I know it snowed at home, so I don't want to rub it in, but so I won't say, but I am on the beach in a sweatshirt today. It was a little chilly, but still, at the beach, so I can't complain.
It's funny, I was in my basement last night and it was a little chilly with a sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. One thing I wanted to let everybody know that we're gonna open discussions with the town manager and town council. Our original documents a call for a 50% split on every dollar that we make to go between the town and the Heritage Center. And that is supposed to be for capital improvements. Having some discussions with some members of council already. We have to come up with a formula that would work for both. And I believe that formula is to prorate what the average costs are for a roof or an air conditioner and prorate them over a period of time. And you put those things together and then you have a number. And when you have a number, it's something that we can shoot at to begin the year with, and that we can fund at the beginning of the year and not have, 50% of every dollar coming out of what we do. So we will be working towards that path. I need the board to first of all consent, and second of all to attend. We have to put together the final strategic plan and put together our presentation to the town council. That will happen in the second meeting of November. I would like everybody on this board to have a piece or a part to play in this, because we have all worked extraordinarily hard to make sure that not only the strategic plan was met, but all of our activities were successful. The strategic plan itself will be extensive. Not just the strategic planning part, but the recap of the year's activities will be extensive. We're doing a narrative on every activity with the statistics that go along with that narrative. We also need to have a financial reporting and accounting meeting.
Okay.
And we need Tricia Greathouse, we need Abby and myself. Because moving forward, we are kind of kept in the dark. It's not that we're kept in the dark, it's just that the information that is supplied to us,
Mhm.
it's like reading
Yes, sir.
hieroglyphics.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we need to simplify it so you can understand it.
Yeah.
We can do a financial report at the beginning of every one of our meetings.
Okay.
Okay,
I actually have a little bit of a report.
you have one?
I do, a little bit. Looking at the budget items from September, we seem to be doing pretty well. We have one item in which we've gone over use of electricity. So we're over by 112% on that, or not, I mean 12% on that, I should say. About $121.
Okay,
So, you know.
is that for the month or is that?
I think it's for
year
the
to
month,
date?
for the month,
Okay.
year to date, a month. So this is actually year to date is $121 over the adopted 2022 budget allotment for the month.
Okay, no, I understand where some of that stuff
Yeah.
came from because we lit the outside of the center.
Yeah.
Okay, and in my view, I think it's worth it
Sure.
because now people are starting to realize what it is.
Yeah, I would say that, and also, but I would say that I've noticed several times the lights in the basement were left on,
Yes,
and those are a lot of lights.
but understand something, there is a switch that we talked to Jeff about.
Yeah.
That is broken in the basement,
Okay.
and it's one of those automatic switches.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's in the process of being addressed.
I thought it always goes out when, after a couple minutes when you're gone.
It does, and
it-
that's the switch that's broken,
Yeah.
Suzanne.
It just hasn't been. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got down one time and it was on and I didn't think much about it, but
Yeah. I don't think anybody needs to worry about anything that they're doing. I don't think nobody's really fault. It's just that we need to be aware of it. There's no need to waste that electricity, having those lights on in the basement. There are a lot of lights and I think they take a lot of electricity. I changed the 3 that are out in the by the parking lot,
Yeah,
and those were incandescent bulbs. So I changed them to LEDs.
okay,
Yeah, so I should,
he's gonna say a lot. of money.
yeah, actually will. Yeah. So, and I donated those, by the way, to the.
Thank you.
HCC. Yeah, so.
The one other thing that I wanted to bring up before we adjourn. Our bricks out in front. I'd like to get back to doing the brick program. We found a brick manufacturer in New Jersey that will do it for $20. If we're charging $50 per brick, I think that we could go a long way as far as getting people involved in, financing the long-term success of the Heritage and Cultural Center. I did want to let all the volunteers know. And Suzanne, you already got yours, right? You got your t-shirts?
Actually, I didn't pick it up. I'll be there Friday. I'll get them.
Yeah, they're a stone t-shirt with maroon writing on it, and it reflects the new name.
Mhm.
And so what I'd like to do is to start advertising Pathway to the Past, the brick program, and reinstitute it. Can I have a motion to do that?
Can I ask a question first, please?
Yes, ma'am.
My understanding was the problem was not selling the bricks. The problem was having a bricklayer come in. You have to accumulate the bricks before we get a bricklayer to come in. Because that, is, you just don't want to have them do one brick and everything. That was where we quit.
So
That wasn't quite it, actually.
It was the
Because Public
engraver.
Works installed themselves.
With the engraver.
Yeah, it was probably the engraver, basically.
Well, we found a different engraver in New Jersey that will do everything, including ship them for $20.
That's good.
Toby,
Hello,
hi Toby, how you doing?
good, how are you guys?
We're
Okay.
doing well.
Quick thing on the bricks, institutional memory is that the current company has been batching them. And
Oh.
you have to, that's one thing to confirm with any new company, is are they gonna do the same thing? And the company I think that we have is not too far from being local, and a Pennsylvania company.
Well, we found a company in New Jersey that will do as few as 6 at a time. So, and if it's $20 per brick, you know, I have no problem in using somebody different.
Oh, no.
Especially if Public Works can do it.
Yeah, Public Works always has installed them. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, the inscription, John, I think you experienced the bit of wrangling to kind of nudge the engraving along. How many, was there a minimum number that the current company has to engrave?
There was never really minimum, because we did one-offs, because over the past couple of years, there have been so few sales. We have done one-offs. We've done like, hey, there was an error in this one, please, do this as well. So.
Yeah, that is the problem. There's, it's very, it's a drip and a drab now, but whatever. Okay, just a comment, just in case, just to help be the parachute here.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the Joe's proposal for the brick company in Jersey.
Second,
Second.
all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let it be known that the motion was passed unanimously. One other thing that I want to do, well, two other things. Abby put together a new trifold, and I will have it up here for everybody's examination. I thought it was very well done.
Except for the Wexford zip code is incorrect. Thank you, Chuck.
Oh,
So I will fix that. If you find any other mistakes, please let me know.
Yeah, 1550. Yeah, that doesn't get you very far. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this up here after the meeting. It can be examined. Thought it's very well done. And everything that we're doing right now, is an extension of an expansion of what we've done in the past. So I really believe that, our print media is getting better. Our relationship with the community is getting better, and our activities are getting better. To that end, as all of you know, I met with the McCandless Industrial Development Authority, and they have supported the financing of a new sign for the Heritage Center. We are working with, and there are conditions to that. It has to meet the township requirements, and it has to meet the town administration requirements. That being said, we also had to get 3 prices. So we had the first price that came in, that we based our request from the MIDA. The MIDA granted our request based upon those conditions and the monies. They want us to come back after we get approval from town administration and town council. So I need a motion to pursue the sign permit to put a permanent sign for the Heritage and Cultural Center.
I'll make a motion.
Well, before we go there, let me explain. It's not going to be just used for the Heritage and Cultural Center. What we've proposed is we're going to put the sign halfway between the fields and the Heritage Center, the top of the sign, and we will have renderings for the next meeting. We'll have the town of McCandless with the insignia in the middle of it, and at the bottom it will say Heritage and Cultural Center. The sign will be utilized by the entire town. So
Where
Well-
is that being put? What's the location of it?
it is going to be, what we're proposing is it's going to be halfway between the Heritage Center itself and the soccer fields. On the left-hand side of the parking lot, and it will be raised up approximately, they say 20 feet, 20 feet. So it's not going to be a monument sign. And there will be a planter that will be put around it in order to meet the aesthetics of the existing structure.
I was
Yes.
going to add a note about the women, university women. Some of them were pretty late because they rode around and couldn't find the entrance to the museum.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a typical question all the time, but you know,
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm going to put an arrow on the Grubbs Road sign and
Well, there are two signs. There's one out on Ingomar Road that has an arrow that says the Heritage Center. And then there is an arrow on Grubbs that points you to the Heritage Center. So,
I don't know. It's a problem. And I
I
don't
know
know
it's
why.
a problem.
The,
And just one other thing, on the side of the signage would be additional lighting for the parking lot. Because we have issues with the parking lot lighting when we have programs.
That's what I was gonna ask if the sign was going to be lit.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me rephrase that. I'm saying yes, Mrs. Clonan. It's not up to me. Okay. I have to.
That's what you're proposing.
That's what we're proposing. And, I heard arguments about being in mid-block. Well, I took a ride around McCandless. I took pictures of about 17 different signs that are lit, that are moving, that are mid-block. So, the fact of the matter is I can see the concerns about being right next to the road. That's why we want to put it up. Toby? Did you
hey,
have-
one thing about, the progress on the sign, this sounds really a long time coming, of course, and that's great. Just a thought to try to enhance the access. Maybe, those blue signs, the little, the little PennDOT style signs are good. They work best on main roads and near intersections, which is what we have. If there's some way, John, it would exploit John's creativity or whoever else on staff or on the FDPC or any of us to think of a way to, when we put information about events, where to find, or just the general information about where to find the Heritage Center, tell folks, picture country road. You're looking for a country road, country lane. In fact, it's named Hoffman Lane. So I mean, I'm not going very far with the creativity right now. I'm babysitting is a lot of work, folks. I just got done with my shift. So,
let me ask a question, Mr. Cornick.
yes, sir.
In your experience, and you were here during the building of both the soccer fields and the Heritage Center,
Right.
and this is just for my own edification. How come there wasn't an ingress and an egress off of Ingomar Road?
I think that preceded me. I was here when the soccer fields were already ready to be constructed in '84. There had been some off and on discussions. The problem with running an access, the physical problem because of the slope, would chew up a lot of land and move probably have to be a curve and put down into that parking lot. The parking lot would probably be about half as big. So that was probably, I would think, one concern, and I'm not quoting anybody because that's 37 years ago or so, but that was discussed. I know it was discussed before I got here. And Mark Sabina, and with not much, really much help from me, the ball was really rolling on the soccer fields. I just kind of witnessed the construction, and I helped hold the one end of the ribbon so that the councilman Tom Moore could cut it to open up the soccer fields in the fall of '84. But that being said, that access was already there off of Grubbs Road, that lane that is now named Hoffman Lane, and was there for the soccer fields, and just do double duty. I don't know how that lane had been there. That precedes my institutional memory.
Okay,
And one thing too, the council that hired me, and the many councils that followed them, all the council members have had the idea, the very strong concept and very laudable concept of protecting access in residential areas, excess accesses off of state roads. And I think that it's not so much a guess, but just a little bit of conjecture on my part was no extra curb cuts on Ingomar Road. Last comment, PennDOT may not have allowed it either because of the slope and so forth, and the proximity to Grubbs Road, Joe. So yeah, I do remember asking that question when I got here and say, oh, not going to be an access directly off of the road. And I remember, by and large, I get a short answer. Nope.
well, again, it was for my edification.
Yes, sir.
The other things that I wanted to make mention of, that the artist rendering of a down the road expansion of the Heritage and Cultural Center will be available for the board to view when we put together the strategic plan.
When will that be?
Well, we're going to put that together, and it will be heard by town council on the second meeting in November. We will put on a presentation that evening. We will have the strategic plan and the year-end report put together by then, and it will be able to be seen by town council prior to our official, presentation.
What's the purpose of that expansion?
Well, I mean, the expansion and the municipal intergovernmental agreements would go together. Simply put, if we have 9 different communities involved in the Heritage and Cultural Center, taking a piece of the funding of it, and we would look to increase the usage of the facility, not only for the individual municipalities, but also put an area in for performance. Being a cultural center, having a staged area, having perhaps a small catering kitchen in it, so we can actually make some money and rent it out. There's additional classroom things that we have talked about with regards to Google and having innovation stations. So having innovation stations and having podcast centers and being interactive for students, really much of all ages. So we're trying to be more things to more people. We're trying to think outside of the box, as Mrs. Clunan has discussed earlier. We have become a vibrant center, and it continues to be more and more a place to go. And that's what we're trying to aim at.
That changes the original intent of the magnanimity of McCandless to open its doors to friends like Westview, where the ties to the high school and so forth are, and long-term, pretty good relationship with Westview. And the name North Allegheny School District is or not district, just Northern Allegheny is on there. And of course, it does change the original intent of and look of the one-room schoolhouse, and sort of it really just sort of changes the mission. I think certainly putting an addition on is an added expense, and because the building itself, just as a quick for the minutes and just for the record, because I think as time passes, people aren't going to bother going in the files to see about the original construction. But for example, the roof on the building was about as long a lifetime type of shingle that could be put on the building, a 50-year, and the siding a 35-year. The windows, I don't know the duration, but the highest quality windows possible. The idea was to create an infrastructure, also use the same parking lot as a soccer field. The idea was make it as low maintenance and low capital cost in the future as possible. And it certainly, to change that, I can see then if that is truly council's wish to have as the ultimate board of directors for the Heritage Center, Heritage and Cultural Center, then that's a sea change, and that is likely, of course, to cause the need for additional funding. But again, I've said it many times. The concept was to keep for the funding at a very low point, which it is. It's barely over $10,000 a year, so if
it's at 18,000 right now.
Well, it's budgeted. It was budgeted anywhere between 15 and 18,000, but we were spending 12 or less thousand before. If maybe more is being spent now, but it's probably not much. Again, it's a pretty small amount in the town's budget. And that was the whole point. The idea was to keep it very manageable and very much focused on the type of collection of Joe Bullock. So all I'm saying is, if that is a sea change that the council has in mind, then that's up to them.
Well, yeah, you know what, it is, and it's actually been communicated to us, and we do have a vision to make this more of a regional asset. The whole idea is that you have a facility that is unique in the fact that there's not another one for many miles that other municipalities would like to be a part of. And I don't think it changes the mission. I think actually we've changed the mission. We've changed the vision of the center. The first 5 years were fantastic years, Toby. But if you're not growing as a museum or as a historical center or as a cultural center, if you're standing still, you're becoming complacent and you're going to eventually die.
It's turning the word growing, if you mean growing in size, the size of the building right now, because of the energy of all of you, is monthly. When we launched, we exceeded the goal of the number of volunteers that we're going to help, and we needed a minimum of 20 we knew to operate, and we've got plenty more, and that's fantastic. But again, it is it just, if it's going to be changing the size and the use of the building, that's just that's simply what its original purpose was not. So it's just,
and you know what? We definitely understand all that, but therein you have a different vision, you have a different way of doing things, you have a different mission now, because in order for us to survive long term, and let's think outside of McCandless for a minute, you have other municipalities that have been very enthusiastic about what we have and would like to be a part of it. So, you know, I understand. I understand what the original intent was. I understand that this was supposed to be our own little
Not
historical.
little, our own, but also, again, it was magnanimous, Joe. Anybody that was any neighbor, especially in the North Allegheny School District and Westview primarily, we were magnanimous to offer them space. There's so much of North Allegheny's materials there. I mean, Joe Bullock was a North Allegheny employee who was using their space. We don't have to go through the whole history lesson again, but it's just that the whole direction that was given is, I have a caution to make, is that I spent many years in intergovernmental relations, and almost all very positive. But often, in probably virtually every time you came to a situation where there was to be a cost sharing, that's going to mean if somebody else wants to have a say in operating and using the Heritage Center and operating it, they're going to want membership on the board. It's going to change the board to a multi-municipal board.
Yes,
And
it is.
it's just going to change. It's a total sea change. And I'll tell you, it is so very difficult to have agreements come. I think Northland Library would probably be I think I see a head nodding there in the front row, and with a little wave, to see how to get 5 rowers to row on the boat together, and maybe more. It's just a very big caution. I spent many hours trying to bring a coalition together of the North Hills or subgroups about stormwater management and how to share costs and so forth. And people thought I had 3 heads. So, and I wasn't alone. I had 1 or 2 supporters to help me with that direction. But it's just a big caution when you take a leap like this. It sounds to me like a mini community center trying to turn the Heritage Center into change what it was to be, and how it was to be shared unselfishly by McCandless with others. That was McCandless's will at that time. I'm sad to see that that's changing.
Well, I can appreciate how you feel.
It's not ownership. Please don't anybody think that it's because I helped get it built. It was my job to get it built. It's not that. I'm speaking as a citizen now who happens to have the memory of what went on. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure there's a caution. If anybody's thinking this is the old manager trying to have a glory day here or something, not at all.
Well, I believe that we can enhance what we have. I think that we can advance the regional aspect of life here. I know that we've been magnanimous in the past, but I see this differently. I see this as an opportunity for many municipalities to come together when they don't have a facility and to be a part of something that they wouldn't build themselves, and in turn helping to fund larger programs. We've had the opportunity, Toby, to host, the mini memorial to 9/11. We really don't have a place to put that. We've had the opportunity to have other regional and national programs that would be really cool for this area. So it's not just the facility itself. It's not just the ideas itself. It is growing. It is moving and providing for not only our constituents on a McCandless level, but on a regional level, more resources and more opportunity for learning, more opportunity for expression, more opportunity for acceptance, more opportunity. We're not trying to make this into a community center.
It sounds like you're trying to turn it into McCandless to be the capital of the North Hills or something. And that's not, I'll tell you, you're really going to be up against it.
Please don't say that, because my ego's not that big. Okay, I'm not trying to do that. What I am trying to do is to bring people together. And-
Joe, all these, well, these other communities around us are pretty happy. Franklin Park is, Marshall, they have their own facilities.
No, they don't, Toby. That's why.
And they have to store materials, and they don't have as much. They didn't have a Joe Bullock. He was a one-man historical society for
You know
sure.
what, Toby, we had discussions with Franklin Park and they have a basement full of stuff over at their town hall that they don't know what to do with. We've had
Yes, that amazes me that they wouldn't put it over at that community center that they have. That's a simple, to me, it's an easy solution. And that's the point. If this dynamic changes, the people we're looking at right now on the dais, the meetings might still take place here, but maybe not. Maybe they'll have to rotate because that's what the COG did, moving meetings around. You're going to have different faces. One or two of you might be sitting there, because that's what a regional facility is, and I really don't think that's the should be the ongoing mission of this facility. I really don't. So what's the date of the meeting that you're going to unveil this?
Well, I mean, we're unveiling the strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years in the second meeting in November.
What second meeting? What would the date be on that? Anybody? John? Anybody? Hello?
Well, we're looking it up.
Would that be the fourth
It's the
Monday?
20th.
Yeah, it'd be 20.
It'll be the 20th,
20th.
28.
28th.
28.
Okay.
I will say that I have some of the same concerns about losing control of the center to other municipalities, because some of some of the dynamics that Toby's talking about. So I wouldn't dismiss Toby's caveat.
I'm not dismissing it at all. As a matter of fact, I'm the one that's had the discussions with the other municipalities. And it's been made very plain that McCandless does own and will always own the Heritage and Cultural Center. That their participation in the Heritage and Cultural Center, yeah, they're going to have a place here. Okay, they're going to have the ability to have their display on rotation with other municipalities. Under no circumstances have we talked about having ownership of the property, having ownership of anything other than these historical artifacts that they bring to the party and take home from the party. So what we're trying to do is to build this in a coalition that will be strong. I understand your hesitance. Understand something, Toby, and you too, Dan. We're at the very infancy of this. And, we have gone in front of town council several times and talked about budget. Our budget's not going to change for 2023. And any agreements that we would put in place, it's going to take at least a year to put together anyhow. So we have some time. But your objections are noted. And I can appreciate where you're coming from.
They may
remain as we are.
You can view them as objections, and perhaps I guess that's a stronger term of cautions. So I just and it is I'll stand up for what I'm saying. I'm not going to say that we have two differences of opinion here, but more so based on the experience over the years. It's a lot of people are taking advantage of my experience, and I'm happy to be able to do that. And the intergovernmental work is a special kind of work, and it requires. Northland Library has a site that was a neutral site viewed by people in McCandless until other people said, this thing's in McCandless. This is McCandless. This must be McCandless's library. Why is it in McCandless? And I heard that for years when I first arrived here. helped Amy's predecessor, at least one removed, to try to get people settled down as to, why are we paying for something in McCandless? It's let it be their library. So it's not so much a fear of parochialism, but it's again a very strong caution that I appreciate what you said, and if that is to remain the case where the other municipalities are going to be able to use a facility, I hate to see it expanded. I think that ruins the architecture and ruins the idea. But if it is expanded and that idea goes through, and then I do believe the magnanimity that was intended by McCandless for others to use it at no cost would be preserved, just like the history is being preserved. So,
Well, I think you have to look at it, that this is different from the libraries. The libraries are operated under an authority under the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They are an authority.
that's what would be coming, Joe, is my point.
No.
Be careful. Don't say no, Joe. I got 40 years of experience in local government. Don't dismiss that with a no, please, because it's happening right now with the ambulance authority.
Well, I mean, you brought up, I mean, we're not going to address all those things today. What I will tell you is that you have other municipalities that have done this. Okay, Plum is doing it right now with a group of municipalities, and it's working out very well under the intergovernmental agreements. So we're going to pursue this. I've been given the go-ahead by this board to pursue this. I don't know how far it's going to go, Toby, but I think everybody here needs to understand that part and parcel to what we were appointed to do is to promote and to enhance the financial viability of the Heritage Center. And that's exactly what we're doing. Anybody have any other questions?
There's a motion on the floor.
No, it needs seconded.
I have a comment. Hi, Toby. Tricia's here in the audience. I appreciate, I'm hearing very, very salient points from both Joe and Toby. One thing I know, I don't know that council's gonna even give a head nod to what is being proposed. I'm not sure what my council people will do. They will act with very strong caution against anything resembling authority. I do know that as a counselor.
I know that too.
So, but at the same time, I do appreciate the current committee's efforts to increase engagement, to diversify the programming. And sometimes we may need to look at a fresh look at what our four walls are confining us to do. It's a great looking building, as you said, Toby. There was a lot of thought put into that building. Why it was built without a meeting space, I don't know. I can't go back in time. I wasn't part of the discussion back then. We are lacking meeting space. We're lacking gathering space in the community. To me, if I could wave a magic wand and go back 8 years, I would have made sure that there was a gathering space if we were making that sort of investment. But Toby, you mentioned that at the start you had 20 volunteers. And I think to measure our success in the past reports that have been given to council at the end of the year by committee, there was always lots of volunteer hours, which is just phenomenal. But what I'm looking forward to seeing this year is actual people walking through the door, that number expanding exponentially.
And that has.
Because I guess we had a pandemic, but even before then, I feel like the numbers were so small that there was a very limited audience. I did not know Mr. Bullock. I'm sure he was a wonderful person, but to be very honest, he has absolutely no relevance to me in my life. But other things that happen here, that's why I was kind of happy to see that new trifold. It features Mr. Bullock on the front cover, but it doesn't go into, we have a collection of Mr. Bullock stuff. So I'm happy to see that broadening of mind, that history isn't just what Mr. Bullock had.
Oh, it
It was a great start, but He had no relevance. I never went in the Heritage Center before 3 or 4 years ago. I had no reason to ever set foot into that building.
And if I could make a point, you know, Toby, we kind of went down a rabbit hole here and.
No, we're not.
Well, expansion is one option. I mean, we have a relationship now with Simon Properties. We're planning on doing exhibitions at Ross Park Mall. You know, we're working with different aspects of municipalities. There is a rescue squad vehicle that we're trying to get donated. And Mr. Arman here has volunteered to paint it and put our logo on it, so it could be a portable history lesson on wheels that we can take out to senior citizen centers and to elementary schools. We've worked with North Allegheny to try and get all the second graders to come here to the Heritage Center, because as part of their second grade curriculum, they have to learn about local history. Well, for 50 years, we've been sending people down to Old Economy. They belong here. So, yeah, I understand. And, you know, perhaps I jumped the gun a little bit. All we're giving you is an artist's rendition. We're giving you possibilities of what could happen. But I can tell you, there are a lot of steps that need to be taken before those things are even plausible.
Trish, the goal was to the lion's share of the materials that are there were still collected by the One-Man Historical Society. That certainly there was never, the hope was that the collection would grow and rotate. That's why there's all that storage room in the basement and so forth. But the 20 was the absolute minimum it would take, we thought, to open the doors, and we've never been as low as 20. I can't remember what the number is now. I think it was 30 some that at least that we have over 40.
I believe Abby can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But we're at 37.
Yeah, I thought, I knew it was 30, close to 40. No, but no, the idea, and then if it begins to, if storage ever became a problem with other people's donations, then the idea would be to have off-site storage if necessary. But if you know, again, if this is the direction that ultimately the town wants to take, I can now only speak as a citizen, and I'm happy in that status. But just be careful on the path, because it is, you know, it could be a very difficult path. So I've got to go to a meeting. So I thank you for all this airtime and good discussion.
Well, you're a good looking guy, Toby. You belong on TV.
Oh, shucks, Joe.
One
right.
thing I did want to interject to you, Toby, is though that is a wonderful intention that Joe Bullock's collection would be the basis and we would grow from there. In the past 3 years or so, since he passed away, it's been my experience that collection has not grown at all, or very little. So this is our effort to expand the collection in a different way, you know, because Joe isn't around to have those relationships with people to bring in new things. Every once in a while we get community members who email us with, you know, relevant items, but I think this is a way to really preserve our local history and expand our collection, but always keep Joe's as, you know, the backbone.
That sounds good.
Are there any other questions? We do have a motion on the table.
What is the
We're
motion?
waiting for a second on the signs.
Yeah.
Oh, the motion on the sign? Oh, well, I'll second that motion.
Let's
I made a
review.
motion.
Yeah.
Let's review what the motion was. The
Yeah.
motion was to
I'll-
permit us to
to-
pursue the
To
sign.
pursue the proposal on the sign.
Okay.
I'll
The
second the
second.
motion on this, pursuing the
Point.
proposal on the sign.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
All opposed? Let it be shown that the motion was approved unanimously. Are there any other items before? Yes, ma'am.
If I could make a comment or a request, in creating the agendas, if you could possibly note, those items that you will be soliciting a motion on the agenda as an agenda item, that would help us in council, and it would help me be more prepared for these meetings too,
Okay.
if there's going to be a vote involved. And I think the council, when we review these files, I know I like to see, like, when there were votes that happened, because the impact of those votes.
And you'll have to forgive me because I've been the one over the course of the last
I
couple.
was just thinking about it today, because I think there was 4 different votes today. It would be nice to have.
When in doubt, we voted out. Because I don't want to be seen as somebody, and I know Abby doesn't want to be seen as somebody that is single-handedly doing anything.
Exactly.
We want to make sure that everybody has a say at this table.
And I think by noting that on the agenda would help the public and others when they see this, see that it is a committee decision.
I gotta tell you, we've received so many good and positive things that came from the Friends of North Park. And the things that happened that evening. We got donations from 5 different wine purveyors. We got donations from John Marshall Catering for cheese, crackers, and fruit. We got a beer donation from Ingomar Beer, and we probably got enough of that stuff that we can use for Notorious North Hills, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Toby, did you have a question?
No, not a question at all. Just a commendation of all the energy and all of the programs that are being generated, with when the FDPC started, and we'd all be sitting at the meetings and trying to start getting some momentum. The momentum is really rolling. I love seeing all these, these new ideas and all the different programs that are being generated, and the relationships on programs too, Joe. So don't think that my head's in the sand or in a rabbit hole at all. I'm really it's gratifying to see all of what's going on. I thank you all for it.
Toby, I can tell you, this committee does a lot of work.
Yeah.
But we're led by a special individual, and Abby does an extraordinary job.
Abby's doing a great job.
Yeah.
All right, I do have to go. Take care, everybody.
Care. Amy, you had a comment?
What comments and updates do you want me to make?
It doesn't really matter.
On the Notorious North Hills, I had emailed Abby, but I know the original one, and I know a lot of you weren't here for that, but a lot of us dressed up. Is historic figures in connection with some of the stories that Diane will be presenting.
I'm dressing up as John LaRocca.
Oh,
So I just want to encourage people to do that again, because that made it a lot of fun, not just for the volunteers, but for the attendees. They really got a kick out of it. I have confirmed my costume, and I will be
You're Mrs. Temple?
reprising my role as Mrs. Temple. So I will do that. I also wanted to ask Abby, because I haven't been too involved in putting this together. The last time we brought a number of exhibits, like we have the Biddle Boys newspaper framed print that's in the center, and we brought a lot of artifacts from that time. The photo album was Toots the Bear and those kinds of things that tied in with that. So I didn't know, are we doing that again? Are we gonna, we had a table set up with a.
Both people that have been in charge of Notorious North Hills, Kevin and Diane, neither one of them are here. I don't know if Abby has anything to
Yes.
share. Okay.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. I would probably need some guidance on what particular things you brought last time. But that's a great idea.
I did
And
ask Diane, and she told me she's pretty much just doing the presentation and taking a step back.
What
So
do
I
we-
didn't want that. We wanted to do that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What are we dressing up Mrs. Cloonan as?
Mrs. Sofel.
No, that's her.
Oh,
Whatever. We had a couple of,
Trish, you know I'm kidding. Come on, it's funny.
we did have someone dress up as Toots the Bear last time. Lynn Atman did that. We had a couple of convicts. We had a terror. We had, Diane was dressed as a flapper, but I don't think she's doing that this time because she talks about the Evergreen Hotel. So
Check that one of those out.
there you go. We have a winner. We have a winner. Okay, I did double check on the registrations for the EAC series lecture on the history of water, and right now there are only 3 people registered for that program. Winterfest, the library will be providing a winter themed story walk that we can put on the front lawn at the Heritage Center. We can leave that up through most of December, especially if you're doing the pictures with Santa, you know, throughout the month of December. We can leave that up for that.
Well, to your point, Amy, you know, we're planning on doing hot chocolate. And, you know, if we do something for the Heritage Center or we do something for Children's Hospital, we're gonna be doing some different theme stuff.
Okay, so we'll plan to leave that up for most of the month of December. It's
Thanks,
more a
Mark.
winter related story. And then I will, committing also to doing on Winterfest, to doing story times like we did the last time, like at 5 and at 6. The library will supply a craft and all that will happen inside the Heritage.
Well, we do have crafts available. If the library wants to do a craft, we do have little Christmas gifts that we can give from Lowe's. We have about 300 project kits. That
we could even wrap those. Or put a little ribbon around them.
Now, my last comment about the signage, I agree with everybody. There are signs up, but I agree with Suzanne that doesn't seem to be helping people find it. My one suggestion, and I don't know if it's possible or not, I don't know the ordinances, but the sign that's on Grubbs Road is on when you're coming from
the batting
the
cages.
batting cages. It's on the right-hand side of the road and people are looking to the left because they know that's where the building is that they're trying to get to. And so they miss that sign because they're looking the other direction. I don't know if it's possible to have the sign facing that direction, but be on the other side.
If that probably works, they would probably be able to change that, or else even put an additional time.
Right.
We actually asked Jeff about that. And he's supposed to get back to us because where we wanted the sign was directly between the ambulance authority and Hoffman Lane, which blocked the eyesight of the emergency vehicles that were coming out. So there's got to be a compromise in there somewhere.
And that won't solve it for everybody. I know, I work in a library, people don't read signs, okay? I know that from experience, but that might help a little bit because they come in and they tell us at the center, you should have signs up. Our signs up. But
And do you think this issue, because I just tested it, I said, okay, if I was coming from Ross Park Mall and I put it into my GPS on Google Map, and it took me down Grubbs and into Hoffman Lane, but do you think folks know where the building is and don't use the GPS to get there? And the people who are complaining, I'm curious, are they GPS users?
For the one golf
Or-
outing, we actually had somebody try it and pull over the hill.
Okay.
Okay.
So your GPS, then.
No. Because you could see it from the main roadway there. That's why I asked about the ingress and
somebody
egress.
told me once that they circled like 3 times trying to figure out how to get it.
Well,
Maybe the signs, because I know the one on Grubbs Road too, that's near Hoffman Lane, there are several signs there. There's several blue signs. I don't, you know, a lot of the historic landmarks are more the brown signs. I don't know.
well, you know what? We'll look at that. I'll speak with Jeff Shaneman and we'll see what we can come up with.
I imagine he'll be happy to help where he can,
Yeah.
whatever is able.
He's really been great to us. Are there any other comments or questions? Is there any comments about anything that was either covered here or not covered here today? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you, everybody.